YouTube, Shukunshtobi here with a review of the Thundercats 4-inch Wave 2 figures. So Wave 2 brings us 4 new figures, technically 1 new figure in a way, but we'll get to that in a second. So this includes Lion-O with a new look, Panthro with a new look, Claudus, Lion-O's dead, and Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. So we'll start with Lion-O, just because he's Lion-O. So he is the same base mold as the original release. However, this one includes a new, larger arm, as you can see right here. So this new arm is the claw shield once it's gained more of those jewels, and it extends itself and makes itself a larger gauntlet. So that's what we have going on here. It does include a regular hand, so this can pop off just like that, and it looks incredibly derpy because of the whole way the armor look is going on over here. So it just really is inconsistent, whereas normal Lion-O has his actual hand, so it doesn't look as derpy as this. So there's that going for it. So let's go ahead and fix him up. And there we go. So outside of that claw shield, it also comes with a small Sword of Omens, even though it doesn't fit in there whatsoever. It still comes with that as well. So here are the two right next to each other once again. Personally, I dig the original release more. It just seems more like Lion-O. This one has the angrier face and then the giant claw shield. Those are really the only two differences between the two Lion-O releases. So pick and choose. Personally, I'd recommend the Wave 1 more, just because this really hasn't been used too much in the show. I think we only seen it once. So here's Panthro. Panthro is pretty much the same mold. However, he is given an angry face as well, and he's a little bit less glossy. The main thing here is the fact that he has these big silver mechanical arms. Spoilers for those of you who haven't seen the show, his arms get chopped off, sort of, by the gate, and so they get phased away into another dimension, so he doesn't have any arms at the end of Season 1. So clearly in Season 2 he is going to get some mechanical arms, because that's what the figure says. And it's what makes sense given the whole theme of the show. So here's the last look at the two Panthros here. Again, this one has a lot more matte finish on it compared to the other one. This one also features colored nunchucks, the red and the blue, respectively. And then there's some unpainted nunchakus that peg right into the back, just like the original figure. So that's all that's new with Panthro. So now on to Claudus, the only actual new mold in this entire wave. And unfortunately, he kind of sucks. He doesn't really have too much head movement. It's just a little back and forth here. He's got a cape, which is pretty cool because he is King of Thundercats. He deserves a cape. We have a swivel right here at the wrist and some arm movement that isn't actually as hindered as I thought it was, but it still can be sort of hindered depending on your outlook on things. But it does what it needs to do, I suppose. It does come with a Sword of Omens that looks a little bit thinner than Lion-O's, even though it's the same mold. And then down here he's got his little skirt detail that doesn't really hinder movement as much as I thought, because these are actually very, very pliable. I don't know if they're going to break, but they are very pliable. So Claudus is the new figure of this wave, and I'm really glad they did make a Claudus figure, considering he does pop up in flashbacks all the time, so even though he's dead, he's still fairly present in the show. The only thing I don't like is his head sculpt. While the head sculpt itself is pretty decently done, he's got this nick right here in his helmet, not his helmet, his head, that looks like it's trying to be whiskers, except I don't think it is. I think it's just some sort of weird paint mistake, and it's on every Claudus I've ever seen at a store. So I don't know whether it'll be fixed at all if it is a mistake, but it looks like the gold paint from his nose area up here just went right across his face. So that's a bit of a letdown, in my opinion. But the head sculpt itself is good. The paint details just sort of lack. And he doesn't really hold the Sword of Omens. Well, he holds it better in his left hand. So we'll stick with that. And last but not least is Mumm-Ra in his ever-living form. And here he is. I would like to report that he is the same mold as the deluxe toy. The one with the opening wings that I reviewed before. So he's the same mold, just his wings are condensed and in a much tinier presentation. But other than that, it is the same mold. I'll bring him in real quick just to compare the two. So as you can see, they are the same mold. Nothing really too crazy. Again, this one has a little bit more of a matte finish, while this one's a more glossy finish. And the coloring is a little bit different. This one's a purple as opposed to the blue. And the red is much deeper here, while it's a little bit brighter there. And then, of course, the giant wings. So what version you get basically depends on how much money you want to pay and whether or not you want the big wings or not. If you don't really care about the big wings and you're fine with the little wings, then get this version because I think it's overall better. But if the opening wing gimmick is really important to you, then go ahead and get the Wave 1 Deluxe figure. But other than that, it really is the same figure. It does come with anything else besides the Sword of Plun-darr right here in its scimitar mode. And these wings don't come off effectively. They do come off. There we go. But you're left with this peg back there. So whether or not you want to take the wings off is completely up to you. But the wings do come off, so that's always a fun time. So there is Mumm-Ra. Mumm-Ra also has issues standing. So Wave 4, Wave 2, obviously the 4 of Wave 2 is what I was trying to say, just clearly isn't as good as Wave 1, and I mean, it's not going to be. Wave 1 brings us Panthro and Lion-O and Tygra and Chitara, Wily Kit, Wily Cat, Mumm-Ra in his mummy form, all of the main cast of characters. Meanwhile, in Wave 2, we're brought with a Lion-O with an accessory we haven't really seen yet, Panthro with spoilers, basically. Mumm-Ra, which is basically just a cheaper version of the one that was released already. And then Claudus being our only new figure. So only one new figure overall out of this wave is kind of a letdown. As for what to pick, it's really up to your discretion. All the toys are really good. They're posable. The sculpt in general are fairly decent for a 4-inch figure. At their price point anyway. And overall, I do enjoy them. It's just there really isn't too much to be excited about in this wave. So really, it's up to you. Pick and choose. I definitely do recommend Claudus for the people who have been collecting this line. And if you didn't pick up the deluxe figure, I definitely recommend picking up Mumm-Ra. These two, it's up to your discretion on whether or not you want the representations of these forms in your collection or not. But these two are definitely winners, and Claudus is pretty much a must-have for 4-inch collectors. So you can check out shukenshitobi.com for the latest updates on my reviews, and of course check out RidersRangersandRambles.com, bringing you the latest Toku news in the craziest way possible. So take care and have a great one. Bye.